Well, hello, my friendly acquaintances. Welcome to Fire Your Boss. And of course, you can find us at Fireyourboss.win. And I would like to introduce my illustrious co-hosts, Mr. Frank Loverboy Guerin and Dan T-Bone Jones, also known as Jonesy. Gentlemen, how are you? What do you got to say for yourself?
Very, very nice to be here. And I love the new moniker. And it's ironic because one of my best friends, God rest his soul, was cousins with the lead singer of Loverboy, Mike Reno, my buddy Dave Reno. He died about 12 years ago, one of my best friends. So I will take Loverboy as a badge of honor. Thank you very much. Turn me loose, and everybody's working for the weekend and all that good stuff, right?
I was going to say that their first album, I don't know, I remember when it came out. I actually had that cassette and it was, I just played that thing, and like if you overplay cassettes, they start squeaking, like the tape starts to wear out.
That's like
I actually wore out. Yeah, I wore out the Loverboy tape.
And yet I have the nickname. The irony doesn't escape me.
You listen, I mean, it's right up there. I mean, we could call you Led Zeppelin, but
I like Loverboy. It fits me.
Okay.
I am a lover and a fighter, but I definitely would rather love than fight. What about you?
Yeah.
What do you have to say for yourself? Handsome fella in the blue and white hat.
Well, if I was any better, I'd be Loverboy. But with the way I talk, with my word salad, I guess I could be Led Zeppelin because that's about as smooth flying as my words come out of my mouth.
Oh, please. Please. I've heard you talk a couple times. You usually don't step on your own tongue. So let's see how you do on this call, because we're talking about pricing your product online.
Pricing the product.
Oh, I have a lot to say about this, believe me.
Yeah. When people first start out in their businesses, they want to know, how much should I charge? And that's a very common question. They want to know what they can, quote unquote, get away with. And most people do suffer from imposter syndrome, and they can't imagine somebody writing them a check or giving them a credit card number or making as much money as they possibly can as a free agent, as an independent contractor, as someone just starting out, whether it be creating a widget, whether it be marketing an agency, whether it be coaching services, IT services, whatever. Frank, what are the fundamentals of pricing your product or service?
Well, I can tell you, when I first started out in the wild west of the internet back in the mid 1990s, pricing was a guessing game. You didn't know what to charge because who knew? Nobody knew, right? But over time, I've definitely learned some key lessons that have helped me and a lot of my clients get it right. So let's talk about pricing. One of the things is you have to learn how to price based on perceived value, not just costs or time. I'll say it again. Base your price on perceived value, not just cost or time. Because in the real world, it's like, okay, it cost me $10 in 2 hours to make this widget. My time's worth $25 an hour. The widget cost me 10 to make. I'm in it for $60 for 2 hours. Let me price it at 90. That's not how it works here. People want to learn. They don't care about your costs. They're not interested. What they care about is what's in it for them. That's the first thing people have to get their heads around.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because one of the things we want to do is get away from trading time for money, and that's one of the things that most people hate. It's like a jukebox. The minute you stop putting money in, the music stops. And I discovered certain methods, like, for instance, like I'm looking for a pair of work boots right now. And the pair that and I'm pretty bad on work boots. I spent $100, $96 on work boots, and they're gonna last me 2 years. I'll beat the hell out of them. Someone said, "Oh, you need to get White's work boots or Nick's work boots. They're out of Seattle. They're handmade in America. Blah blah blah." And they're like $589 or $600. Wow. And years ago, I used to buy shoes. I had a pair of Cordovan. Remember Cordovan? It's kind of like a dark maroon color.
Yeah.
I had like these penny loafers, really high end. I mean, this was 35 or 40 years ago. And at the time, they were $150, which was expensive 35 or 40 years ago. But I got them resold 4 times. Now, you can't really find shoemakers and shoe repair people much anymore. It's an old school trade, but they were worth it because I literally, like in the past, when my shoes wore out, I just chucked them and bought a new pair.
Right.
But it kind of was like the buy once, cry once thing. I literally had them resold 4 times. And every time I brought them in for new soles, he restored them. He made those things look like they were brand spanking new, man. It was just amazing. So, and they literally lasted me about 25 years. 25 years. So $150 over, when he would put like those heel protectors on them and stuff like that, So over a period of 25 years, the $150 that I spent on the shoes, and I think it was like maybe $30 every time I got them resold. Okay. So that was another $120. So 150 and 120, 280.
Yeah.
So literally think about this. I had a pair of shoes that looked phenomenal for 25 years. And I literally did a calculation of how much it cost me per week to own them. And when you do the numbers, a lot of times you don't feel so bad about paying for quality. When I look at like Nick's or White's work boots, and I did let my fingers do the walk-in when I was looking at these, I didn't buy them for $600, but I thought to myself, I'm at the point in my life where I might be like, I've bought quality things in the past that have lasted me 10, 20, and 30 years.
Right.
I'm at the point now, I'm going to be 65 next year. Here's the trippy thing. I could possibly be buying the last of everything in my life. My last pair of boots, my last pickup truck, my last, like I got a tweed coat, like a Harris tweed coat that was $300 25 years ago, and the structure is still perfect. It looks brand new. Like I could wear it till I die. It's I could be buried in it. So paying a lot for a product or service is not a bad thing if you do the proper calculations. If you just look at the price, you go, oh, that's cost prohibitive. I can't do that. Oh, really? What is the return on that thing? Jonesy, what do you have to say?
Wow, quite a bit. And I kind of want to piggyback off what you said with shoes. And what was the phrase you said? Buy high and cry
Buy once, cry once.
Okay. So I like buy nice or buy twice, which is the same way of saying it.
Right.
Because if you buy something that's high quality, you only have to buy it once. Otherwise, it's not a matter of if, but when you're going to replace it.
Yes.
Now, obviously, some things have a life cycle, right? But you could extend that by buying better. And my use case is with hockey skates. Same way. About 2.5 years ago, I spent a solid a stack, $1,000 on hockey skates for the first time in my life.
Wow.
Which at first I'm like, wow, that's the most I've ever spent on hockey skates. Well, a decent pair of skates will cost you around $500 now. Entry level's around $200 to $300. But the amount I use them, where I'm about to start another season, up to 5 times a week, it's nothing. If you divide how many uses I get out of this thing, it's incredible. And it's also made at a higher quality. It's like skating on a cloud. They're insanely light. They can take a beating. Salesperson specs say they can last up to 7 years. We'll see. So really, that's a low per usage purchase for what seemed like a good amount of money for that type of item at the time. And yeah, that's if we're talking product pricing, that's something that's going to be at a premium level. And for Fire Your Boss, we're probably going to be focusing more on service-based pricing. Not to say that we have to skirt around the issue of product pricing, which is typically more straightforward, which is almost, even if you take out the perceived value aspect, it's going to be cost plus something. And now whether that plus is 25% or 150%, depending on that perceived value, that's where it comes down to positioning, which we've talked about in previous episodes. Is this a luxury product? Is this an entry-level product, or is it somewhere in the middle? And all other factors aside, the pricing is an indicator of, what tier product something is. So the same principles can certainly be applied to service-based business, which is what a lot of our entrepreneurs, what myself primarily offers. And yeah, without having precedent, like Frank was talking about in the mid 90s, Wild Wild West, it's based on perceived value of what the return on that something is. And the mistake I made when, basically going into digital marketing, freelance into agency lifestyle was definitely not pricing high enough. Now, I do have packages that run less expensive on a monthly basis because it's subscription based. So it increases my lifetime customer value over time. But let's just say like a one-off project. I know for sure I was not charging enough to begin with because I was a one-person show. And a one-person show is not scalable. We teach people to, even if they don't have to hire full-time employees, get help, subcontract, strategic partnerships, get some more, more hands makes less work. And you have to charge more in order to have that type of infrastructure. So that side of the business, the small business marketing agency side, is for small to mid businesses, typically with limited budgets. So my mistake was going in, offering them the lowest price possible, even for something that there was a lot of value involved. Now, what I should have done instead, and what mentors have taught me, is always offer them your best solution first. Even if it's possibly
Yes.
out of their budget, that's okay. I have the flexibility to offer multiple services and multiple levels with multiple price points attached to it. Offer them the best first, understanding that they're probably, for whatever their objection is, we'll just say it's budget. They can't swing it, and that's okay. Here's what I can do next for you. All right, you don't want to spend $5,000 a month on SEO and paid advertisements on 5 different platforms. Let's launch you up with a simple website, 5 pages, position your brand, have some calls to action, contact form, and we'll put you on Google Maps, and it costs X amount per month. But I still offered them the high one first, which means somebody's going to buy it at some point, even if you're just
Sure.
starting out. And when you're just starting out, you got to eat crow a little bit. At least my opinion is you can always shoot high, but depending on where you're at in the startup, if you want to grow organically, you got to grab some low hanging fruit first, to get some revenue and start paying the bills and scale up that way. And that's one way to do it, is by having that offering and scale back if necessary. We actually, we talked about this through our group chat not even just a couple days ago. We talk about anchor pricing. And yeah, sure, I can, my $50,000 a month marketing package. That's not for everybody, but it's there.
Right.
It's there. So by proxy, it makes all of my other offerings look more valuable because that's something my agency can handle and is willing to handle. But if it's not for you and your use case, then that's fine. We have other solutions that may be a good fit. But it's not allowing me to undersell myself at this point.
Right.
I
sorry,
had
go
sent
ahead,
you guys a video earlier in the week
Yes.
with Alex Hormozy that it was like in the first 5 minutes, he said just like basically just add some zeros, and offer a flagship product, and that automatically raises the credibility of your other products when you offer that 50,000. I forget what his reasoning was. I don't, if you remember.
It's basically his term is anchor pricing. Is
Anchor
that
pricing,
it changes the anchor, changes the thermometer, the set point of this is what this we'll just say agency is capable of. Wow, they've got some heavy hitting infrastructure here and deliverables. Okay, well, maybe that 50 G's isn't for me, but 5,000 a month, yeah, I can handle that. And maybe it's a scaled back version of what that $50,000 offer is.
Yeah.
Which is the
Right.
worst case scenario. Best case is somebody buys the $50,000 high ticket offer. You have nothing to lose by doing it.
Well, yeah, and you know what, guys? There's a natural temptation, especially online, to think that the only way to win is to be the cheapest. But I want to tell people right now, competing on price alone is a definite race to the bottom, and it's a race you just don't want to win. I mean, if your only selling point is that you're cheaper than the next guy, there's always going to be somebody else that's willing to undercut you. And where does it leave you? Struggling, stressed. I would say undervalued. So what you want to do really is compete on value. What makes your product or service unique, right? What experience are you providing that others aren't? And when you create a unique USP, unique selling proposition, you're no longer just an option. You find out that people need you, because you're not just selling a product, you're selling an outcome or an experience or a solution. So price yourself accordingly, ladies and gentlemen.
It's funny that you say that, because there was a point I remember, and I'm talking minimum 30 years ago, 30 to 35 years ago. Jay Abraham would offer a phone call, and it was $5,000 an hour. And at that time, that was unheard of. And after 15 minutes, he would ask you, like, do you feel like you're getting your money's worth so far? And if you said yes, then he would say he'd hit the button, and then you'd be charged $5,000. If not, and he said, and no one ever said no, he says, then you would, wish the person well, good luck, and thank you very much for, good to meet you, kind of thing.
Right.
I thought that was interesting. That was very bold, because me and some of my marketing friends, we would I'd call my buddy Barry. Hey Barry, what do you think of this? Let me bounce this off you. And he'd like give me an answer. He goes, that'll be $5,000, please. So we used to kind of like Jay Abraham each other, jokingly. And but yeah, pricing is a funny thing. Pricing is a funny thing. And I think if I know when it comes to like, for instance, power tools, I bought like a Ryobi power tool set, like 18-volt cordless drill, circular saw, light, sawzall, and sander. And it was like $240. It's like 20 years ago. Now, I'm not a contractor for a living. I don't use power tools for a living. And people criticize, oh, it's junk, they're gonna die. You know what? I'm still using them today. I still use them today. But my brother, who is a licensed contractor, he goes with Makita, Bosch, Milwaukee tools. He gets like these really high-end, like one tool, one cordless tool will cost as much as like the entire set of tools that I have.
Yeah.
But he uses it every day, and he's brutal on his tools. And so I guess it all depends what the use is as well.
So that's kind of funny. I actually just saw a meme floating around Instagram based on Harry Potter, and it's which tool house are you in? Like, instead of Harry Potter having Gryffindor, Slytherin, Hufflepuff, and Ravenclaw, they've got DeWalt, Ryobi, Makita, and Milwaukee, and you had to choose which house you're in.
Wow.
Now Ryobi apparently has gotten a very good reputation for like the weekend warrior and household maintenance, versus your Makita and Milwaukee, which are like, this is going to a construction site every day and getting the crap beat out of it.
Right.
I built an entire, I'm looking at it, I built an entire deck and stairs and gates and fences with my Ryobi 18-volt tools. And I actually upgraded about 2 years ago, and I bought the lithium ion batteries that are 1/3 the size, but twice the power of the nickel cadmium batteries. And my tools work like a charm. But then again, I'm a weekend warrior. And did I get my money's worth? Yeah, because it cost me, I spent $240 on this multi-tool set, and it was 20 years ago. So what would it cost me? $1.20 a day, or I don't know, whatever.
It's crazy. When I drove a tractor trailer and all, I used to deliver it to the Makita warehouse in New Jersey. So I guess I have to go with them. But one other thing about pricing, guys, if you're just guessing at pricing, that's like shooting arrows in the dark. The cool thing about the internet is that it allows you to test and Jones, you probably talk better about this than I can. Beauty about the internet is that it allows you, to test your own pricing strategies with real-time data. And it's a shame, because so many business owners just pick a number and stick with it, and they never test if they could be doing it better or differently.
Yeah, I mean, so we have the internet, which is a device for research in and of itself. So yeah, you can spy on the competition and figure out if you want to compete with them on price, or this, which kind of creates a race to the bottom sometimes, which I don't like. But at least it gives you a benchmark to start with. And I'm always going to say, even when you're starting out, shoot to be at least a few percentage points higher than a competition. very highly dependent on what you're serving and selling. I'll use my one business, the marketing agency, as the example. I don't give discounts, but I will, I should say I don't give discounts on service, but I do on bundling. So if you're going to, subscribe to multiple solutions from me, of course I'm getting, it's the same as when you buy the 18-volt Ryobi set that comes with the Sawzall, comes with the drill, comes with the vacuum. You buy each of those tools individually, it's, at least $1,000. You buy a bundle, you're talking 300 to 500 probably. I'm just kind of spitballing here, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
If you're going to buy a website, hosting, SEO, social media content management, and ads management, it's going to come in, 60%, if not half price, if you were to buy those services individually from us, because now we have your entire ecosystem, which is actually beneficial from a marketing standpoint. But second, it's a reward for you as the customer to, use us for multiple things. So yeah, price it slightly higher, and it gives you that leverage for A, bundling, B, maybe discounting if you want to like grab some market share. Never long term, but something that you can do periodically, seasonally, whatever, offer incentives for XYZ, instead of discounting to start with.
It's funny. I'll never forget when Hormozy came on the scene. There was a lot of him and his wife, and she bought him several sessions with Grant Cardone. Very expensive. I think they spent $120,000, but it was like their last $120,000. It was like do or die kind of thing. And I'm thinking, God, that's insane. They would do better. Anyways, well, I ate my words because Hormozy, he rose to the top pretty fast. He's an action-oriented guy, and he created such a unique brand for himself. And acquisition.com is insane right now with what they hold. So would you spend $120,000 to make $1 billion? Heck yeah. Where do I sign up?
Another example of perceived, or actual value-based pricing right there. When you put it in terms of ROI, would you spend 5,000 to make 50 all day long, all day, every day?
Yeah.
And that's how, when you're doing service-based pricing, you have to frame it. You have to position it that way.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what else, guys? I'll tell you, this pricing, I think, is as much psychology as it is about math. When you go to get gas and it's like $3.29.9, you're like, oh, gas is only $3.29. No, it isn't. It's $3.30 a gallon. Nobody gives you like 0.8 of a penny back or anything like that, And Jonesy, you said something cool before, that anchoring that you did there, like you offer a high price for a deluxe package. All of a sudden, your regular package in middle seems a lot more viable and valuable. And it is, because you're allowing people to compare, large, medium, small. Medium is great for everybody. A few power users that want to use a large package and pay that kind of money, God bless, man. That's found money, right? But by doing that, you make the middle one look like the most sensible, opportunity. And I'll tell you what, if you understand these sort of like psychological principles, and you just a little bit of digging, like Robert Cialdini, and you do a little bit of digging and thinking, that stuff can really help you position your products or services in a way that it feels like a no-brainer for your customers. And that's another way you compete on price. Compete not just on price, I should say.
It's funny when I look at various products over the years, I look at is the proper name Brookstone? Am I thinking of something else, or that's like a high-end gadget store or something? Was it Brookstone? Does that sound right?
I think that's one of them.
It was like you'd see it in a mall, and it was just like various gadgets and higher end stuff, and not super high end, but it was an interesting store with interesting products that were a little bit higher than the average consumer level products. When I look at Sky Mall, remember Sky Mall? You'd fly and there was that magazine in the pocket in front of you. Remember that?
Yeah.
And everything in that was overpriced, and that was in the days even before .com. That was the 800 number days.
I think it all just
And
became sharper image now. All of it is sharper image.
Yeah,
yes,
Brookstone's still around.
Yeah.
is it?
Online at least. Yeah, I just looked. Yeah.
Yeah.
And see
they're still
that's
around.
where I either become like I'll spend money recklessly on something I value, or I'm a tight cheap bastard.
Yeah.
Like let me buy
No
these
middle ground. Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna buy these store brand potato chips because $9 a bag for Frito-Lay seems outrageous. Ooh, $1,000 ice skates. Yes, I'll take those. Ooh, I
Yeah.
crashed. I didn't crash my car. My car got crashed into. Let me buy two. Let me buy two cars now. Why not? Ooh, store brand soda's on sale. Let's do this.
Yeah. What we value is interesting, and what we're willing to pay for is interesting.
I think Jonesy, you're paying for experience with those two. You got a vet and a Jeep, two different experiences, both equally exciting. Why choose when you can have them both? You know what I mean? And that's
Yep.
that's a reward. Focus, there you go, Frank. Nice. Talk with my hands again. That's a reward for the time and energy that you put into your own business. And that's for another call, but that's something else people don't do. They don't reward themselves when they hit certain goals in this business, and they don't reinforce the fact that they deserve to be rewarded. I mean, what other reason are we doing this for? If you don't get rewarded with money or time freedom or both, right?
Treat yourself, don't cheat yourself. But I do want to go on the record of saying I'm not going to be one of those guys who's standing in front of their brand new C8. Well, depending on when this, somebody watching this 5 years down the road, the C8 now is an old car. $130,000 car and the Jeep at the same time. No, I bought a 1986 Corvette because it's a little project car. I am I'm successful, but I'm not hey, look at my toys. You can be successful too, because I hate that crap.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not, you're not taking pictures in front of a rented Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's gauche.
You want to make money while having fun and not being a slave to a boss. Listen to us. I'm not going to say I'm not going to be a billionaire. Maybe I will, but even when I am, I will not exude that lifestyle.
Yeah.
Well,
That's how I feel too.
As your partner, I hope you will be a billionaire.
Yeah.
I
Right.
promise to stay humble too. You know what I mean? And
All right. So pricing of services, what will it bring back? Would you spend $5,000 to make $50,000? Yes, of course. Now, how about pricing of product? Pricing of product, everything from a widget to a screwdriver to a Swiss Army knife to a shirt. Like we've seen, like I've gotten into t-shirts in the past few years, like fitted t-shirts.
right.
And because I'm a firm believer that muscles make the man, but clothes make the muscles. And I've heard it said it's better to buy a suit at Walmart and then go and have it fitted than buy an ill-fitting suit, at some high-end kind of place. When it comes to stuff, I'm seeing t-shirts, these premium t-shirt companies selling t-shirts for 50 to 75 bucks. I'm like, what? Like, you got $50 for like, are you kidding me? Like, I go to Boscov's and get them for $3.99. And and if they get a stain on them, it's not even worth cleaning. I just throw it out or use it as a rag at that point.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how some companies with their direct, like literally direct to consumer, can sell a t-shirt for 40 or 50 bucks. I'm blown away. It's a damn t-shirt, but there's companies out there doing it.
Well, George, just look at like when you go to a concert, you know what I mean? How much are the concert shirts? They're $40 to $50 because you're there. It's your favorite band or one of your favorite singers.
Yeah.
You're at the experience. You don't say, oh, let me go home and buy that online somewhere and see if I can get it cheaper. Like, man, $40, dude, give me that shirt, And
I'll buy it off the bootleg guy in the parking lot because I support small homegrown businesses.
Exactly.
Ringo Starr doesn't need the extra money.
Yeah, we don't know that. In Ringo's case, anyway, was he really a Beatle? That's the whole story. But you know what? I'll tell you what, man. If there's one thing I did learn, it's that pricing is deeply tied to knowing your audience. Not everybody values the same things. Some people are like looking for the lowest price. Some people, want to pay a a premium for high quality exclusive stuff. And you need to understand who your ideal customer is and what they value. I mean, it's not necessarily being the cheapest here or the most expensive here. What it is being right for your audience and your audience alone. So that's the only one that matters. You know what I mean? Because if you know what your customers value, you can set their price. You can set your prices to match that value and communicate it effectively. And you're going to build customer loyalty along with more sales and more profits.
You know, it's funny. I used to have a client by the name of John Gray. And if John, you're watching this, hello, John. Those that are knife aficionados know John Gray is one of the most popular, sought-out knife makers in the world. He goes to these knife shows. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a knife show. I had no idea. And, you know, they're at a convention center and it's just like miles and tables of knives and this kind of stuff. And you could buy a flip knife at, you know, on Amazon. You could buy a flip, you know, for $150. You could buy a flip knife off of Walmart, an Ozark Trail flip knife for $15. You can buy a Benchmade for $200, or you could buy a John Gray knife for $800 to $1,200. Handmade, literally no two are the same, just totally bespoke kind of stuff. And he's always got 12 to 20 knives going, like in process at all times. And he lives near me. And I went to his little industrial. He just has like a little room in a warehouse with grinders and anodizers and all these things. And the guy's knives are just heavenly. They're like butter. They cut like butter. They open like butter. They have just when they flip open, they got a sound that is just beautiful. That
Like
there's
butter?
like butter. Yeah.
Sounds like butter, yes.
And like there's no off-the-shelf knife in the world that feels like a John Gray knife. There's not, like when he put it in my hand, I'm just like, oh my God, this is like worth every penny. But not everybody's going to spend $1,200 on a, you know, a clip knife to put in your pocket.
Reckon.
But those that he has people lined up to buy every new knife. And of course, every knife is a limited edition kind of thing. And not unlike Ferrari, which we talked about, the Ferraris are sold before they even come off the line. Crazy. What do you think about that as far as product pricing?
So that actually it triggered me to think of something else, which is even if you're on, like, we'll just say like the middle consumer level of product pricing, like Frank's favorite car company, Ford. Go ahead, say it,
Excuse me
Frank.
while I throw up. That was just wrong of you. As a Mopar man, I must go on record. Ram trucks, Dodge Challenger.
There's a very specific example here. So yeah, Ford also makes Lincoln, which is their luxury car, which is already priced in a different bracket, has, you know, more advanced features, it's more comfortable, blah, blah, blah. But then like the Explorers and the Expeditions, all their SUVs, at least some of them, you can get that Eddie Bauer edition, or maybe you could at some point. Regardless, it's a signature edition that has specific styling to it, where the car itself, the mechanics are no different than the base model.
Yeah.
But they can now sell it for $15,000, $20,000 more because of this branding it has on it, because this designer made it. They also do like the Harley Davidson trucks, which, you know, it's co-branding. We've talked about that before, but it's the same thing, but limited edition with specific styling. So now that's their high ticket offer for what's, for all intents and purposes, their same thing. And not everybody can get it, so therefore it commands a higher price.
It's like Cadillac with the Escalade. All it is like a Yukon or a Suburban with a Cadillac, you know, imprint, basically.
Yeah. So when it comes to stuff, when it comes to items, I've heard it said that your pricing should be a good, better, and best strategy. What are your thoughts about good, better, and best?
Okay, good, better, and best. Well, like I said before, if you position yourself with a basic thing that some people with a bare budget want, then you have your middle product, which is something everybody wants and needs. Then you have your premium product, which is only going to appeal to the people that really want top full experience platinum level. Then you're covering all your bases. You know, I think the key to think about here is, you know, products or services and pricing them, especially on the internet. It's not just numbers on a page, you know, it's like the value you create, the perception that you deliver, you know, and the customers that you attract. And it's definitely fluid. You know, the pricing that you have today and the 3 tiers that you offer today, that may not be the same thing that you do a year or 2 from now, you know.
Mhm.
It could well change.
And you know, the market dictates that. Circumstances dictate that. The economy does. People's income, what you know, they perceive as able to be their disposable income to be spent on changes, you know, quarterly, yearly. You know, people get more discretionary during, or I should say less discretionary and more free during holiday season to buy stuff. And then, you know, they tighten for other times of the year when, you know, they're more discretionary. And actually, I don't know if anybody saw it. It happened a couple months ago, maybe in the past 6 months, where Wendy's was talking about doing the demand-based pricing, which I thought was kind of fascinating, where in order to, I guess, balance out their busy times of day, you know, lunch and dinner rush, they would charge more for the items during those times of day to either get more money off fewer people who would come, and B, get them to come at different times of the day that's off peak. So therefore would have a lower cost to go at that time of day. It's almost reminiscent of like peak and off peak times in the 90s and early 2000s on cell phone usage, where peak time minutes would cost more, or you'd have more minutes available.
Right.
Demand-based pricing. From what I've seen, you know, public perception is not very good when it comes to that, because it's a false supply and demand. Sure, you can wait a little bit longer, but the supply is no different.
It's the same meat at 3 as it is at 11 a.m.
So Wendy's ultimately scrapped that idea, which again, you have to listen to audience and current customer feedback. You're not doing any good if you're going to alienate your core customer base too.
Like
Well, and
Southwest Airlines.
Uber or Lyft, like to get a ride home from the bar tonight is $40. Do it on New Year's Eve, and it's $140.
But that I believe is more of a direct supply and demand correlation, because just, I mean, yeah, so is Wendy's, but you know, at the same time, their cost doesn't go up anymore.
Right.
It's a wait time. That's about it.
Right. Right.
Oh,
You know, I think about conferences and such. You know, there's a conference that costs $1,000. You want to be a VIP, it's $1,500. You get the whole front row. You want the platinum package, and it's you get to have the cocktail reception with all the speakers, you know, on opening night. For $3,000, you get to have the steak dinner with, you know, on Saturday night with all the speakers, that kind of thing. And I've seen things like that. And, you know, then there's just, you know, then there's the $299 online version where you can watch the whole conference for $300, that kind of thing. So I've seen that kind of pricing, the good, better, and best, with everybody. Like, for instance, I sent you that thing where Grant Cardone had a $25,000 mastermind kind of thing in the Bahamas or wherever the heck it was. I don't know. I thought that was kind of interesting. Now, that was just one time. I don't know how many attended that, but I never seen him offer that ever again, which means maybe it didn't work. You know, maybe it wasn't something that was appealing to a lot of people. But when it comes to paying, you hear this, paying to be in the room with people, the perceived value of being in the room with people is worth something. How do you even begin to price an event where you are in the room with top producers? You guys have done conferences over the years. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, the easiest thing to do is compare it to similar events, because if you're in the room with top talent, or you have top talent as guest speakers, chances are that they've run that type of event themselves or have participated in similar events. So at the behest of my laziness, that's a copy and paste method right there, with some differentiators depending on audience size and maybe what the theme of the particular summit would be. But you already know that the market or the audience or both really allows for specific pricing for that type of event. So yeah, duplicate before you iterate. And then make adjustments for the specificity, right? You're not going to charge the same for a 5,000 person venue as you would for 1,000.
That's true. That's true, because like a boardroom experience, you're going to charge more than you would for the 5,000 person event. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. The relationships, you know, it's interesting. I have a friend who became friends with Robert Kiyosaki, you know, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And Kiyosaki went through a divorce. And this friend of mine talks about a lot of the same stuff that I do about recovering from divorce. They are now best friends because this guy, who is, you know, he's popular, you know, has a similar following to mine, provided a solution to one of the kingmakers in this world and one of the most popular authors of all time. And now they're like best buddies. It's really interesting. And, you know, if you or I wanted a meeting with Kiyosaki, you know, I don't know how possible that would be, but my friend offered a solution to Kiyosaki, and now they're buds. They're, you know, there's no barrier, no secretaries, there's no gatekeepers. Now they're texting each other back and forth, like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Like that kind of thing. It's kind of interesting. So you can pay to be in the room, or you can offer a solution that a powerful or influential person offers. And somebody powerful and influential who utilizes your product or service, that's one way to get, quote unquote, in the room, is to offer something that somebody powerful and influential can utilize or saves their life. I think that's kind of a cool thing.
Absolutely.
So if people want a price, people have a service or a product, they can contact either one of you. I encourage this. Anyone in the listening audience, if you are having a pricing crisis for your service or your product, pick Frank or Jonesy and buy an hour of their time. Book them for an hour and discuss pricing issues. Literally, get them, use them, use and abuse them, and contact them at Conversion Chemistry. However they want to be contacted. And I can tell you that if you book an hour of one of these gentlemen's time, the return is going to be amazing. The return is, don't be afraid to consult with people who have done what you haven't done and do something better than you. So that's my pitch for Frank and Jonesy as far as promoting your individual work. But I think people would benefit not only from Conversion Chemistry and Fireyourboss.win, but also even if somebody wanted to book an hour of your time, personal one-to-one time, I think that's super important to do. Otherwise, you stay stuck forever.
That is true. And for maximum pleasure or pain, depending on which way you look at it, you can book the both of us at a special price for an hour, because then you got to combine. How many? Boy, you're a geezer, and I didn't even know it, Jonesy. What, you got 25 years in the internet yourself, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, professionally, 15, but I was dabbling as a kid making websites in 1997. I took the IT path at first before I got into marketing. But yeah, no, we have 1 million years of experience between us. Maybe slightly inflated. Maybe slightly inflated.
450. I forget the exact number, but it's one of those two. And thank you, George. And I'll tell you what, we are happy to talk to people because we do want to see you win. I mean, that's what we're here for. We're not doing this for fun. We're here to let you, our people, you know, our friendly acquaintances, as George likes to say, we want you to win, you know, and we're here to help you and cut right through the BS and get to the point. So don't be afraid to reach out.
Yeah, I had a coaching client leave me a video yesterday, and it's very successful. One of the best things that a coach can hear is when a former client, who's now a friend, leaves a video message from his new his new vantage point and says, I would not be here if it wasn't for you. And man, that is, for me, it's not the credit card number that he gave me a year ago that I'm celebrating. It's his success. And I am so happy. I am so happy when someone says, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. And I think, like I said, listening audience, book Frank and Jonesy, book an hour of their time, and you're going to get guidance that you never ever thought you could get. Gentlemen, I'll give you the last word.
What I would say is just remember that, you know, pricing your products and services on the internet, it's not just numbers about numbers on a page or something you pull out of your hat. It's about the value you deliver, the perception that you create, and the customers that you attract. And just understand as your business grows, you should be looking at raising your prices too. But we can talk about that on another call.
George, it's kind of like you said about, you know, the money's cool, but it's when you hear about the success stories, and that's what I want everybody to do and be for their particular customers. Is, you know, it's a little selfish, but it makes me feel good when I see them winning, and I just want everybody who provides a product or service to their customers to have that feeling as well. So, you know, take the money aside and make that the reason, and the money will come.
All right, my friendly acquaintances, you heard it today on the topic of pricing, and we will see you on the next episode of Fire Your Boss.